Be right back. Let's give it a second. Some people are going to come in. Oh yeah. Just a few more moments while we wait for the stragglers. Not even the stragglers, just anybody. Oh, we got one. We promise we'll be here in a moment.
We will be here sooner or later.
Brian wants to talk.
Absolutely, I do. This is Transparency and Merit, and this is about controlling your anger. And I'm just, I'm just basically, what am I doing here? I'm just, putting my show out there, and like if anyone wants to come out and listen, they're certainly welcome to. I just know that a lot of people have a lot of different opinions about this pandemic and about who's to blame and what's to blame and what it is and why it is. And a lot of people, and including myself, who believe that they know the truth, are stating that that we know what is best and all that, and we're getting really angry at each other. And really and truly right now, I mean, there's so much information out there at this moment that nobody really knows the truth. I mean, nobody really, right now I've heard so much different information, and this is something that has happened that I wouldn't have thought of happening in my literal wildest dreams. I have my trash can in the background. So I wonder if I should just move that. And then I have 2 water bottles in the back as well. I'm trying to be a little less messy, but we'll
put up maybe some picture in the background there, so you have something.
Yeah, but you know what?
Hey, ambiance. Don't write off ambiance. It's important.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Maybe our huge Sean King sign right behind your head would be great.
Yeah, that might be a good little thing to have at the moment. But I'm not gonna.
It sure is easy for people to lose their mind.
You know what? It sure is.
So, yeah,
and I'm not gonna. You know what? I mean, I've lost my mind a few times over this thing. I have been angry about it.
I found it interesting that Debbie had a guest on tonight who was basically saying, "Oh, I'm very adamant. Forgot his word. He's very passionate about the fact that he knows that this is a fake situation we're going through, and I'm sorry, but if you're too vested in the reality of what's going on with the virus, your eyes are off the ball. You're not focused on what's truly happening, and I stand by that. And I've gotten into some pretty heavy discussions. I'm convinced of certain things, and one of those things is that this is a rope-a-dope, and their plan is working so well. Everybody's right where they want them, at home. But we can get into these things maybe. We're What now?
And I'm not. I am not. I'm going to be honest with you, Joe. I'm not convinced of that. I don't think there's a master plan here. I think there is a. I think that.
Okay.
I think that. I mean, because to me, master plans, to me, have motive, and this is so. This is so horrible for. I mean, everybody is affected by this.
Mhm.
By this, I mean, even the wealthy want things to a degree to run smoothly. The wealthy don't want war. I mean, the one thing, I remember I read a thing on gangsters. In most of the high level management, they always liked peace. They never liked conflict. It was always the lower level people that thrived on the conflict and thrived on the violence and thrived on the uncertainty. So even criminals, even like our criminal element, wants, the higher ups of the criminal element, even they don't want chaos. And this is right now, this is unprecedented.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that, has never happened before in your or my lifetime. And I don't even remember history having a lockdown like this. So I just don't see the motive why somebody would be motivated to do something like this kind of thing, because even the out and out gangsters of the world want some form of certainty, and this kind of thing, it just lays the ambulance are going. So this kind of thing, in my opinion, does lay for a lot of uncertainty.
All right.
And I've been angry about some of the people, particularly on the left. I mean, I am a conservative, and maybe that's just my knee-jerk reaction, but I don't know. I mean, things are going against. Like, there are people that are going against the grain that I've known for a long time, not all my life, but that I've known for quite some time, about economics, about how things should work. And like, I don't know how to solve this problem, because I mean, our economy is really hemorrhaging, and I don't know how to, like, what the government or what the powers that be can do to really fix it. And like, this is something that's going to put paranoia and fear in in the world, not just in America, but in the world. And there's going to be a lot of anger, particularly, I mean, and we're just scratching the surface of what angry people can do. I mean, people have been buying up firearms like there's nobody's business. And we could become a balkanized nation in the snap, just in a very short time. It could become a really nasty, nasty situation where people group up into hostile factions, and because we don't trust one another, we're not, there's no form of civic nationalism right now. I mean, we've devolved into an every man for himself, and we've had to put things in place because people by nature don't necessarily know how to act properly or right, and that's just the way things are right now. And I don't see things changing. Not much for the better. And the one thing that we can have is just open dialogue and freedom of speech, even if it hurts, even if what that person says hurts my feelings. I do, however, believe that it's the ideas of the left, and I don't know why. but I just tweeted my show, and it was, or texted my show, and it was something else. I don't know why that was.
Well,
But
the point I was making was that just a week ago, and this is the fickle nature of some of this stuff that we're dealing with. I've made my perspective clear to a lot of people, and Debbie was just one person, but was calling me crazy for about a week
yes,
because she had a different view. Today she had a guest on who's basically some of the things he's saying are in line with how I view parts of what we're dealing with here. And he was calling out, he was basically calling everything fake. And of course, for some reason, Debbie was in full agreement. And I found that really strange. I found that strange. It really depends on who you're talking to, I guess, the company you're getting. And the differences were what he was supporting his viewpoint with. And I just found it really strange. She was sitting there in full agreement, calling it out as fake. And it's just it's quite a thing. I still think these people are taking their eyes off the ball. The points of view with the wind, but it was pretty interesting to listen in on that, and throwing my arms up in the air, going, "Wait a second here, Debbie, where are you on this?"
yeah. I mean, like I said, there are. I don't know if people are contradicting themselves or whatnot. I mean, like,
that's what it was. It was a straight up contradiction, but well, maybe we'll have to have her on the show again and talk to
yeah.
her.
I mean, look. I mean, we can talk and look. As angry as I get, I don't want to. I don't want to result into anger, and I want to try to carefully use my words carefully. Although there is a part of me that wants to, like, certain words I find very offensive and they're very inflammatory. I think the word white supremacy at times is a very inflammatory word. And when I hear it, I do want to lash out. I want to lash out. And because it's a word to basically, it's a very racist word, and it's a word to measure whites by a different yardstick. And also, it absolves other people of moral responsibility. I feel that's not, and that's not good. And I think people should decent people should rebel against that word because it's a very unfair word. And it's also a word that is used to shut down debate. And it's a word that is used to deny people their 14th Amendment rights of equal protection under the law. And, like I said, that does anger me because particularly in a time like this, when we're in a pandemic, everybody deserves equal access, and like being able to speak, and being able to present your case, that is important. And when things like that are denied, that just it just infuriates me that the people think that they have, that they're in the right and in just cause to do that, and it does make me angry. I don't know if I want to lash out about it, but it really pisses me off. And I'm trying to, like, have a little bit of anger management where I don't react, because I've been mad about that at the past, but I'm really angry about it now just because we're facing a pandemic and nobody knows, what's right and what's wrong, who's at fault. And when we have media sources controlling information and basically censoring information, because that's what the mainstream media does, is it allows only a select few on. And this right here, YouTube, is really our we found a place in YouTube as an open forum to discuss different ideas that are not in the mainstream and that go against the grain. And what does the mainstream do? They censor us, and then they censor, like, and then there's no place for us to argue. We can't even present our case before, like, it's like they're treating us. The mainstream media is treating us like we are children.
What lies ahead also when people start falling but really behind, and if we're in a situation where people can't earn money, and I'm talking about maybe those people who really depend on their 1 or 2 jobs or more, and what happens when we are in the Hunger Games and people really start to lose it. They start feeling nervous.
We are an armed society. There have been more gun buys, I think, in this last month than I think more gun and ammo buys in this last month than I think any time in our history. We are a First Amendment and Second Amendment society. And I think that as things start to delve down and people start to feel that, there's not going to be a lot of toleration, and there's going to be big pushback to people trying to censor, because the government has bailed out everybody. And if you're telling me that I'm not allowed to speak in this government, and others aren't allowed to speak or to talk in this government and being shut down, what resort do we have? What resort do the people have? I mean, so what if you're gonna kill me? So what? So what? Who cares? Do what you got to do. I'm not, people aren't gonna, be slaves or be starved for your decisions.
Right on. And I think that, yeah, the people who are scared for their lives are really in trouble. Let's what is this link you sent me earlier with Dr.
I just sent you a link, and I didn't even look at it. It just was interesting. Dr. Fauci should be fired and in the shutdown. And this is I forget the guy's name, but he's running for senator in Massachusetts.
What's going on?
I believe.
This is what's going on. I'm on YouTube here. Here we go. So I hope everyone's having a good weekend. We're going to talk a little bit about the fundamental issue of the fact that
Dr. Shiva,
know it or not, politically we're at war, and this war started with this entire coronavirus, and it started about a couple of weeks ago, also reflected in the tweet that I put out when I said, as an MIT PhD in biological engineering, it's my view that the fear mongering is really being used to suppress dissent. It's being used to support mandated medicine, and it's being really used to support, crashing of this economy. And I talked about that. And as a part of talking about that, and many of you, I also shared with you the foundations of the flaw of this entire fear mongering that's taking place. And the flaw is taking place with another F, using fake science. We live in a world right now where it's very easy to use ignorance and fear and to use those two
great points.
Prongs to really impose policy on people.
Yeah, I think people need to watch more videos like in this vein, because it's less about less focused on the being scared and what are the origins, or what are, they're missing the point, and this guy seems to be on it. I can already tell.
But and my thing is, this man is barred from debate. He is completely censored, and hey, wait a minute. Let's put him out there, and let's examine the facts. And I think his name is Dr. Shiva. If what Dr. Shiva is saying is untrue, debate him. Debate him. Say, like if he's selling snake oil, or he's selling things that are dangerous, debate him. This is never, like, and Facebook and all these other people are having things on about misinformation. Well, debunk it, and the best way to debunk them is to have them on and debate them in a full way.
Yeah, but I feel if the media is as controlled as I think it is, that ain't gonna happen. These guys are gonna be yelling at from the rooftops. They're still not gonna get their say.
You might be right.
It's a rigged system.
And like I said, there's a lot of, and I'm one to believe that this is real, but you know what? You never.
Okay, so if it's being that it's real, okay, let's go with that for a second.
Yes.
And you're frustrated, you're angry, you're lacking an outlet.
Yeah.
Right. All right. What? No, let's just you take all the precautions you can and try to keep yourself safe. What do you? Then what? So is that the end of the conversation for you? You don't think there's other things going on with a global shutdown? You think it's over a virus?
I don't know. Like I said, I mean, I think that you know what? There is a possibility. I think that is the strongest possibility. But like I said, there could be a virus. They could be handling it incorrectly. Look, I'm not a doctor or a medical professional, but I want to see more facts. And like I said, people, and the truth is, Joe, people have lied and misinformed before.
Not so much about lying, because I don't feel that people are necessarily lying, right?
Yeah.
I feel like there is this I think that there's a faceplate for the situation. And then if you're doubting that other things are going on, I mean, there's evidence that there are protocols being instilled. There are so many things going on as a result of this shutdown. It's hard to deny that there's a world of things going on. I don't even know how to get into it without saying like, I don't want to get all into the politics of that, but I'm just curious from your perspective. So once the pandemic goes, and it's a thing of the past, in your view, what you're saying, just kind of a resuming everything as normal without any new laws, new plays, new protocols being put in place behind the scenes. You're just looking at a total return back to normal once the pandemic ends.
I don't know. Well, here's the deal, Joe. I don't know if things, and depending on how long this pandemic lasts,
mm-hmm.
I don't know if things can go back to normal. If they keep people in a state of quarantine for over, a year, and over, like 12, 18 months, or maybe even 2 years, and they've been quarantined and their money has been depleted and they're living paycheck to paycheck, and all the money that they've worked for, and now they're coming back to an economy that is completely changed. Because who's going to buy money for entertainment or go to the movies, or even like watch a movie when when they see that the whole world is, like when they're having, like when they don't have money for bread, toilet paper, and the necessity items. Our country thrives on the on things that are non-essential. I mean, like going to the bar, going out, all these things have changed. People are foregoing graduation. People are forgetting like parties, beach parties, spring break, summer vacation, going out and having fun. I don't go to the movies like I used to, but as a teenager, I lived for going to the movies, taking a girl out and going to the flicks,
Well, if we're not seeing martial law, I don't know what we're seeing in some respects.
This is as close to, this is as close to, I lived through the riots, and there was some form of martial law then, but that was very short-lived. This is as close to something like a martial law police state that I've ever seen, and that things are shut down the way I've ever seen. And the one thing we have is we have this digital media right here, and we have, we have intelligent minds, and it seems like the news media would rather, like, either they're pro-Trump or they're anti-Trump. And it's like, listen, what do we do now? We can talk about who's at fault, and that's true. What do we do now, and how do we handle? I mean, if this is true, first, is this true? Are we handling it? Are we handling this pandemic the right way? Is it? How true is it? How contagious is it? And are we handling things the right way? And if so, what do we do? How do we best move along in the situation? And I'm not hearing that from our mainstream media. I'm hearing like they're trying to blame Trump. And look, there's blame nobody.
The media will say anything but what I believe is the truth.
Well, no, I think the media is primarily left with a few right-leaning individuals, and right now the media is stuck between the many portions of the media that are anti-Trump and the small media, the smaller media outlets that are pro-Trump. And it's like, who's at fault? Which, like I said, can we just agree that everybody dropped the ball on this thing? Like, there are those that don't believe it's true, but those who believe it's true, can we all agree that everybody dropped the ball on this virus? And you can see in February and even in March, people were not acting and behaving appropriately. All people, not just the president, but everybody. And there is blame to go around. What do we do now? How do we handle this thing in the best way? How do we move forward? And we're not hearing that. We're not hearing to say, look, the news media is not saying, look, what can we do to move this nation forward? We're hearing a lot of lecturing. Wash your hands. Everyone knows how to wash, like, hey, I saw the video on how to wash my hands from thumb to hand and wash it all the way up. Everyone know, okay, wash your hands, social distancing. We know that. We know that. What else?
I'm curious to see what this video says. It says, and this is another thing that was a test that we obviously failed on. The real reason people are buying a bunch of toilet paper, and this came out about 3 weeks ago. I'm curious to see if this video stands up at this point.
Yeah, and stay indoors as much as possible. We know that. my question is, yeah, go ahead. All right.
Toilet paper is
I just wanna say this
disappearing
really quick.
around the globe, and nobody is taking it sitting down. The New York Post reported that it has triggered fistfights in supermarket aisles in Australia, where one family inadvertently contributed to the crisis by ordering 48 boxes of toilet paper instead of 48 rolls, roughly 12 years worth.
Now she's sitting very comfortably on more than 2,000 rolls.
Oops.
The BBC reported on an audacious armed robbery at dawn in Hong Kong. And in Japan, Sora News said that one
Oh, but-
shopkeeper decided the only way to protect his restroom from desperate toilet paper thieves was to draw up traditional curses to protect his stash of
But why did people start hoarding it in the first place?
spare loo rolls
'Cause if you're-
all over the world.
There was a news story that is said to have been the real trigger. And then it set off a series of other news stories. But I don't know. These videos just want to talk a bunch of nonsense.
Well, again, and I could be wrong on this, but what I noticed is first, it was foreigners that was the people who were either I think it was people primarily that were foreign born in these Western countries that started to begin to buy up the toilet paper. Now, one of the reasons they buy up the toilet paper is if you're quarantined, you can't go out and shop and stuff like that. So it started off panic buying. So the people that are panicking are making the situation worse. And they've, and this is, man, and I want to question, I'm like, man, having some of these foreigners here, because if we didn't have the number of foreigners in these Western countries, would the behavior, would things still be the same? Because people who are from the third world, who are from the third world, don't act this way. I mean, it started with people who were born in the third world who, when pandemics happen, everything goes to crap. And that's not the way it is in the first world. So we started mimicking the third world, instead of the people from the third world mimicking our behaviors, because we really don't have any form of civic nationalism.
Welcome to the show. If you are here, wow, we got 4 people here.
Yeah.
Blowing up.
But it really goes into, in open borders, that may be a thing of the past. Who knows? And it's like, man, it just, people saw the writing on the walls, what was happening in Europe. Supermarkets being fully stocked isn't a guarantee, nor are the supplies. Soap and water is the best way to wash your ass, and that's true.
So
it is
true.
the best, And yeah, soap and water, staying inside, social distancing. If you do have to go outside, supermarkets are following that protocol now. It's still hard, man. It is.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Total chain reaction there. It's the herd mentality, and you start seeing what your neighbors are doing, or,
And the news media prints it out on social media. And any time, like I said, and the mainstream media controls so much.
Right.
And they're allowed to put out whatever they want out there. And if you try to rebuke it or say anything against it, like I said, they've had one documentary and one docudrama on the Central Park 5, which, if you look at the report, the documentary and the docudrama are total fabrications of what, they left out so much of what happened. And the police reports, and even even the confession tapes of the youngsters. And if the media is going to lie like that, just think what else they'll lie on. So again, I don't trust, my government or the mainstream media. And who's ever in power, you got to question. You really got to question. And it's just kind of sad that questions, you can't even question your government. Now, is this this isn't the Ken Burns documentary, is it?
No, it's a 3-minute clip.
Yeah.
You saw those 3 people jump a lady jogger.
I see, but I heard a lady scream on her way down.
Now, yeah, they convicted them. All of them of rape, and they were acquitted of sodomy and attempted murder. Okay.
And the court set aside all of their convictions except those for robbery and rape, and sentenced each of them as juveniles to a term of up to 10 years. That was on 9/11, 1990.
September 9/11, yeah.
Richard and Wise are tried together. All right.
And Richard, okay, they were found guilty of each charge. The justice system set aside all the Richardson convictions except those of attempted murder, robbery, rape, and sodomy. So I don't think, okay, so they,
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So attempted rape. And again,
So he got up to 10 years. Wise was convicted of assault and sexual abuse of the jogger. Sentenced up to 15 years. Okay, so one of them admitted it in jail.
mhm.
Okay, so there's a DNA match.
Yeah, that's correct. Okay, so what you're saying, okay, if you hear Larry Elder, and there was a police officer. The police, there was the detective, the head detective in the case of the Central Park Five. Now, Larry Elder, if you YouTube Larry Elder in the Central Park Five, listen, there is a complete, look, and there's no, the problem is nobody debates this issue.
Say what? Nobody what?
Nobody debates. Like,
Oh.
Where's the debate on this issue of the Central Park Five? Okay, go ahead.
You want to hear some of this?
Yeah.
Exonerated 5. It's for Raymond, Yusuf, Anton, Kevin, and King Wise.
Thank you so much. It's an honor. It's a blessing.
One slight problem. The Central Park Five were guilty. Of course, that's not the conclusion that Ken Burns reached in his documentary.
But you'd think their spidey sense would go off for 1,000 different reasons, that they didn't know where the crime had taken place. They were in some other place when it did. It was an incredibly bloody crime scene. There's nothing of the crime scene on the boys. There's nothing of the boys on the crime scene. They didn't know each other. They spent all this time in prison not asking for parole. I mean, when they went up for parole, not saying I did it so they could get out earlier. And when film, I have to say, and Charlie, you know this, is a kind of polygraph.
Yes.
You read it after a couple of hours. We go in and we let you decide. And you see these were good kids, that they hadn't done it.
And then there's the Ava DuVernay TV miniseries called When They See Us, which makes the same claim. Innocent men railroaded by a racist criminal justice system.
Is my mom here? It's just us. You and us. Who you in the park with? I don't know names. I just got lost. Where did you see the lady? One lady.
The female jogger was severely beaten and raped. Every black male who was in the park last night is a suspect. I need all of them.
Now, neither Ken Burns nor Ava DuVernay interviewed the lead detective in the case. His name is Eric Reynolds. But I did.
Hey, Larry, thank you. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about this and set the record straight.
Well, you were there that night. Why don't you tell us what happened?
Well, to begin with, I'm listening to Ken Burns, and it's astounding to listen to him fabricate what went on that night. Ken Burns, I could never watch anything that he's produced anymore with any amount of confidence that he's telling the truth, that this is an honest portrayal of what's happened.
Now,
Wow.
Detective, you were there that night. Did you and your partner arrest the people that became the Central Park Five, all five of them?
I don't know about you, but I was a little bit shocked about that take. What did you think of that? Ken Burns' reaction?
I think Ken Burns should go on. He should go on. Sorry, I got gum in my mouth, but it's too good to take off. But Ken Burns should go on radio or television and ask these questions, along with Avery, the other person who made When They See Us. They should go on and ask some of these questions, because they are promoting something that a lot of people believe is a lie. I mean, and the same thing with Denzel Washington's The Hurricane. A lie. A lie. And if what you say is true, it'll stand up to the bootstraps of scrutiny. And you don't have, but if you're being protected, and criticism of you.
I think we need a 30-second commercial here.
All right.
I need you to really gather your thoughts here, and if you had a message, right? If you were standing next to Ken Burns right now,
yes,
what the hell would you say to him? You could say anything you wanted to him.
Well, you have one of the slowest computers around, by the way. But what I would say,
my internet's been really dragging tonight again. I'm so annoyed. What would you say to Ken Burns? Damn.
I would tell Ken Burns that he needs. Well, look, he's not going to do it. But if I were to see Ken Burns, I would say, go on Larry Elder's show, go on Dennis Prager's show. And or even if you want a liberal moderator on there and debate your film to people who are critical of you. Because there's a lot of people that are critical of When They See Us and Ken Burns' documentary. They are critical. And if what they're saying is true, it will stand up to the to scrutiny. if it doesn't stand up to scrutiny, it's not crap. It's nothing, in my opinion. So, in my opinion, yes, I'm sorry for having gum in my mouth, but it, what can I tell you?
It's so hard to play this damn commercial. Here we go.
There we go. Was this in the 80s?
Yes, it is.
Sparkle in your eye, spring in your step. It makes things lots of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's from that spearmint gum. Nice move. I don't know who that is. There we go. Wrigley's.
Yeah. What happened was we were looking for the group of teenagers who were wilding, who were rioting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that's the best way to describe it. They were rioting in the park. We came upon 20 to 30 of them after they had assaulted the teacher, John Laughlin, and beat him so badly that both of his eye sockets were shattered and his skull was cracked.
Yeah. I mean, what about, hold on. Cut it there. Cut it there. I want to know about the teacher who had both of his eye sockets, and that's what they were there for. So you can continue to play, but because the sound is not that great, but had both of his eye sockets shattered. Go ahead.
Dunked in a bucket of blood.
Wow.
We captured 5 of the 30 that we observed, because the group, of course, started running when we went to apprehend them.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 of the 5 were Kevin Richardson and Raymond Santana, part of the Central Park 5.
Mm-hmm.
And just so that you understand, as we observed the group, we watched Raymond Santana with Stephen Lopez leading the group. I could see them turning around and addressing them almost as though they were leading the pack. And as they were walking uptown, up Central Park West.
Mm-hmm.
Once we arrested them.
Do you two get out at all? And I'll say I was outside all day today. I've been outside all day, every day. Brian, did you get out?
I get out to get, maybe to get a breath of fresh air.
Okay.
But I do keep social distancing just to exercise a little bit, and then go to the grocery store. Other than that, man, I don't get it out at all. This is really depressing, by the way. And I want to say to everyone out there, strive to get as much money as you can from this thing. There's $2 trillion out there, and see exactly like unemployment benefits. If you were a part-time, if you had 2 part-time jobs and one of them went away, you want to get the money for the other one. Just bottom line, you want that money. And, like I said, so that's what I'm going to try to do, get on unemployment insurance, what I can do, what I'm able to do.
We arrested them.
I'm sorry. Were you done with this video, or did you want to keep watching it?
You know what? People can watch that video from Larry Elder, and people can put it up against. And if you want to send a link in the description box, sure. You can go ahead and do that. And just, like I said, I've yet to see anybody successfully dispute this video. And when you're not allowed on the debate stage, I do question, then I really question. When things aren't allowed to be debated, and people are just, when they scream racism and white supremacy, that's when my spidey sense begins to tingle, like they're trying to hide something, so it is what it is. But the thing is, I don't trust the media, and I don't trust my government. And no American should. You should always question. You should always, because these aren't, these aren't these aren't reliable sources. I mean, I've never, I can say, I could say I've never seen it this way, but the truth is, people have been manipulating their viewpoint since time went on. Since time immemorial, people have been making myth and legend so it becomes true. And a lot of times things are nuanced. Some things are downright, damn right lies. I mean, the history of the Western, a lot of that's based on a lie. I mean, too. But so, these people are writing their own fables, their own modern fables, and stuff that's right in front of us. Information that's right in front of us is being manipulated. I mean, this thing won an Emmy, and there's a lot of questions on it. And the mainstream media didn't even touch it. So how can we trust the mainstream media when they lie about this? If they're going to lie about this, they're going to lie about other things too. You think they'll lie about one thing and not lie about another? And that's one of the reasons I'm angry, because people are they're hooked on, this, you can't trust anybody, and everybody failed. I see the monkey on your screen. But something's been 404'd. Who knows why? Who knows?
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes things go wrong.
Yeah, it's so weird. I'm looking at that video on one browser, but it won't. That's weird.
It certainly gets that way.
There we go.
But I would just click out of it.
Here we go. We got it.
You work so hard, now have some fun and yum it up with a new kind of bubble yum. Yum it up. Lemon and lime at the same time. Two flavors in one.
Yum it up. Yum it up.
Strawberry and banana combined in one bubble yum. You working hard now.
I know a coworker who loved bubble yum, and they always wanted a fruity flavor of bubble gum.
Two flavors in one. New luscious lime and banana berry split.
That was a big deal, dude. When they split the flavors. Oh my god.
Did you like that stuff? The bubble
I did. And now, by the way, I don't know if you've ever looked, you don't look for gums with sugar. You probably are fine with all the sugar-free gum, but if you're looking for a gum with sugar, it's hard to find. It's only maybe Wrigley's has always had sugar, and Bubble Yum has always had sugar. But there's way more sugar-free gums for sure.
Yeah, few people were shot in the West. That's what Andy Bowen, Darren says, and that's I like grape bubble gum too. Can't have that stuff anymore because of diabetes. Bubblicious was also great. How about Bubble Up, the soda? That was also good.
Yes.
But we're we're digressing.
Bubble Up. Oh, wait, here we go. I got a commercial for that, and I got to see if this is what you're talking about.
You know what? Can you play? You know what? As we're going on the Central Park 5, can you? The officer disputes Netflix. Oh, if you can go back on that, if you could just.
That's fine. Let me see. What's it called? The officer what?
Well, if you go back on it, if you go back, by the way.
Just tell me what you're talking about.
It was in the search title in there. Okay. Yeah. Seeing it. It's in the top. It's on the top. See, I'm going to point right to the top. That black gentleman who's on CNN. Yeah.
Let's see here.
It's underneath Talib. Oh man.
Right now is the Netflix 4-part series When They See Us. It tells the story of the so-called Central Park 5, the 5 New York City youths.
Is this the one you're talking about?
Ages 14 to 16 were convicted of rape after an April 19, 1989 attack in Central Park. Their convictions were all vacated. after a serial rapist named Mateus Reyes confessed in 2002 to the rape of the Central Park jogger and said he acted alone. The 5 are all Black or Hispanic. The 29-year-old victim was.
Let's just
Thanks for
bump up
being here. You watched the Netflix series and you thought what?
Well, thank you for having me, Michael. I watched the Netflix series and I was shocked. Okay, I actually laughed out loud when I saw Felicity Huffman playing Linda Fairstein implore the police to go out and round up all Black men in Harlem. I thought that was absolutely preposterous. It never happened. Linda Fairstein was never even in the precinct that day when the investigation was started, first of all. Second of all, the district attorney does not give orders to the police department. They do not direct our investigations. Our investigation was well underway once Linda Fairstein arrived at the Central Park precinct.
Someone who knows only of this case, what they watched in that 4-part series, would come away thinking that the admissions, the videotaped admissions, were all coerced, that this was all the result of cops who were acting in a nefarious way to railroad those 5 individuals. As one of the police officers who made critical arrests in this case, you would respond how?
Oh, that's ridiculous. All you need to do is look at the videos. Watch the videos. Look at each one of the defendants. See if they're being coerced. See if they're sleep deprived. You'll see their parents are in every single video. You will see in every single video their rights are being read to them. It's a blatant lie. It's unfortunate. This is the first time that police misconduct has been recorded on videotape, and the people who alleged to have been, their rights violated by the police didn't want it seen. They fought for the longest time to keep those videos under wraps. I would implore everybody, look at the videos, watch them from beginning to end, and then make a judgment.
I know from doing a lengthy interview with you on my radio program that you were in the park that night, that you participated in apprehending a number of the guys who, it was their word, correct me if I'm wrong, were wilding.
Yes.
But you initially didn't associate them with the violent attack on the jogger. What was the moment that caused you to say, I think there is a connection?
Well, it wasn't that I think that there was a connection. We knew there was a connection. We had arrested 5, 2 of which were part of the Central Park 5, Raymond Santana and Kevin Richardson. We were going to release them. We were releasing them to their parents. We did not believe that they had anything to do with the attack on the jogger, okay? But we were interviewing them before we released them so that in the event that they saw what happened, we might be able to get that information. I released 2 of them. We got to Kevin Richardson. Kevin Richardson had a scratch on his face. When we asked him how he got the scratch, he first lied and said that my partner did it. When confronted, with the fact that we were going to go ask my partner, he then admitted that the female jogger scratched his face. That's the first.
All right. So where you at with this guy?
Well, no, I mean, and people can look at the rest of the tape, by the way, if they want to. Again, a lot of stuff out there that the media has, the mainstream, and this. Look, I mean, I applaud CNN for having the officer, the Eric Reynolds on there, who was the officer on the case. Got very little playtime. I'm just surprised how many people are still fooled and almost cognitive dissonance about the fact that this case, I mean, they may be not guilty. I'm willing to look at that, but man, you look at it as a whole. It was a mixed jury that convicted them, and they confessed to what they did, and there is a lot of evidence pointing them to the case that they first of all assaulted a person, a male, and that they assaulted and they didn't rape her, but they did sexually assault a female. I don't know if they were charged with, if they were all charged with sexual assault, but they did beat her up and hold her down. And there's more to the case than what Ken Burns' documentary and Netflix's docudrama on that case is. It's very misleading in something that is recent history, and it doesn't do any good to present this kind of false narrative. I also want to point out this too, and I forget her name, but she's coming back now to Fox, and this woman railed against the defendants of the Duke lacrosse case, and now she's going to be on Fox, and that kind of upsets me and makes me angry. Joe, are you still there?
I am still here. Why?
Oh, because you just took yourself.
Ready? Oh, there we go.
You just took yourself off. But I forget. I forget her name. But now she's going to be on Fox, and she's also somewhat of an activist type of journalist, kind of lawyer, kind of person, who is all about emotion and not about logic. And
yes,
I think at some point we need some logic here, and we need like less emotion. And I don't want to be emotional either, but it does make me angry the way the media controls things and the way the mainstream media seems to hire other reporters to censor dissenting views.
Yeah, the way it's done is very it's not
very underhanded.
Yeah, it seems underhanded.
And they don't do it out in the front either. I mean, there are YouTube there are a few YouTube celebrities that are out in the open about wanting to censor dissenting view. Francesca Ramsey, what the hell's her name? Kat Black. Kat Black spoke directly to Susan Wojcicki.
Okay.
It kind of disgusted me. She said, one of the things she says is, your rights, something about your rights promote my oppression. The biggest bunch of nonsense. I mean, just awful. I don't want, I don't want to live in a nation where that is the majority of thought. Where my right to free speech, or anyone's right to free speech, is believed that it promotes someone else's, or where the majority of people think that they have to curtail free speech because it promotes oppression. That's not the America I want to live in. I don't, I would prefer to live in a place where people believe in liberty and the First Amendment. We can all decide what is true and what is not. That's just my opinion on that, Joe. And it does make me angry that this is being done. And the way it's being handled. I mean, the mainstream media has never, the way they've handled it.
It's long gone, man.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. And you know what? Maybe it'll never come back. I'm hoping, though.
For what?
That enough people.
It was never there to help you in the first place.
You're right on that. Well, yeah. You're right. The mainstream media has always had a narrative.
They've never been there to steer you in the right direction. They've been there to steer you in the direction they want you to go. Period.
And you know what, Joe?
That's what programming is all about.
And I'll tell you something, Joe. The mainstream media seems to have always, a portion of it has always been on the wrong side of history.
They've been on their side of history. That's all I'm saying. In my view, I see what you're saying. I just think it's more blatant, and it's more. I don't think it's any of it's by accident. Looks like Joe has severe ADD. Oh my God.
ADHD.
Oh, what's that?
Attention deficit disorder, attention deficit and hyperactive disorder. I believe that's the.
Yeah.
And hell, I might have that. I don't know. But
if you're not a little bit anxious about what's going on right now, I don't know what's going to make you,
if you've got money in the stock market, if you have a job, I mean, certainty.
Mm-hmm.
The world is more uncertain, and that's true. If we didn't have the internet, and you know what? I'm glad we do. Right. I wish the internet. And
let me just add that you don't get too comfortable with the internet. Who knows with the way things are going? I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not dependent on that.
It could crash. The internet can crash at any moment, and now we cannot gather in public. And now we got to watch what we say on the internet, and this is the only place we have to discuss ideas.
That's right.
We can't discuss them in an auditorium and have people meet.
That's true.
And we can't discuss ideas on the internet because they censor them. You can't say the pandemic that is happening right now. You will get censored.
Try it. Just try it.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
Try having a YouTube channel and mentioning this pandemic.
You can't.
They'll censor you.
No. I saw a video today that got struck down within 30 minutes of being posted. So yeah, not now. No way.
And they're taking down things that they believe are misinformation. Yeah. And who decides what? And like I said, the mainstream media, a lot of the mainstream media is not airing Trump's speech. Regardless of whether you agree with him or not, are you an adult? Can you decipher truth, fact from fiction? I mean, Don Lemon was on, on CNN saying that we shouldn't air them. We should air them in snippets to just explain to how he lies and stuff. It's like, wait a minute. Show the whole goddamn thing. This is important. People are suffering, and you want to siphon out information? Who are you? No, I'm getting angry, but who are you to do that?
Stoic calm.
Well, I mean, when it comes to my rights and the right of information, I mean, we do have Fox News that's airing it, but CNN used to be.
Are they the only ones that are airing it in its entirety?
I think there are other news outlets that are. Maybe we should start airing. I wonder if we could start airing it.
Well,
we should start airing it live and commenting on it.
Why not? Why not?
Yeah. When he has it on, we should bring it on and just start, just like, hey, we're going to play it. And then, like, hey, we're going to tell people what they thought about it. But,
I agree.
I mean, I'm sure Joe would come down to Washington if he wanted to go to some of the briefings and ask the president some questions.
There are a lot of things to listen for when you're listening to Trump speak. There's a lot of language to decipher, and people, you can't. It's not one of those things that you can look at face value. You really have to think about it and process it. Trump is being a chump lately, huh? All right. He's been skirting the issue. He's been skirting the issue for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly might be doing things that are counterproductive and not correct, and maybe doing more harm than good in some of his speech. I mean, yeah. I mean, like I said, and again, you shouldn't. There are people that put all their faith in Trump and all their faith in the news and all their faith in Nancy Pelosi or whatever. Don't put your faith in anybody. listen to the information and make your best judgment. And sometimes, you know what? You got to hedge your bets, and you got to realize there are no solutions, but only trade-offs, and not the trade-offs you want either. I mean, this is sometimes between, do you want to lose, your right eye or your left eye? Do you want to lose your right ear or your left ear? These decisions are not, are not easy. It's like, like sometimes you got to hear like, hey, your cancer, the cancer has spread your leg, your whole leg, and radiation isn't going to do it. They're going to have to cut the damn thing off, or you're going to die. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Now, some people, if they think like, if they think that that they're going to listen to other information, like, hey, they're thinking, hey man, this doctor here, he says I don't have to lose my leg. I can keep my leg. Then you get cancer and you die. The economy is kind of the same way. I mean, to a degree, the same way. Hey, I can give you all this free money. I don't have to, have any strings attached. And, people are just going to, work when you're doing nothing. I mean, these people that are working these supermarkets and stuff, they're probably getting burned out, and they probably need somebody in there to help them out. Now, I'll volunteer at a supermarket. I don't want to, but I will.
Oh, I've got stories for sure.
Yeah,
there's a lot of things going on that don't seem fair at face value. So there's wait for a couple pay cycles to go, and you're going to start seeing people really raising a fit.
Well, look, right now, food banks are food banks. Some of them are going belly out. I mean, there wasn't enough food at the food banks. What's going on there? And are there people pilfering these food banks? Right. Who's running these things? Isn't the government stepping in? Is there emergency aid going to these food banks? Why are these food banks without food? And that's another. And if there's pilfering going on in food banks, those people should be prosecuted. I know I'm getting angry at that, but that's a serious issue, because that can set up even more widespread panic. And the one thing that we want in this country is certainty, that people are going to do the right thing, that they're going to do their best, and that things are going to follow through. And if people don't have, we've lost enough certainty. We need more certainty in the society to help it run, to help us get through this pandemic. We need debate, and we need a level of certainty. And we need the best way to get to that level of certainty that we can. Joe, is there anything to add? Because I think I'm all out of words.
Y'all talked out?
I'm pretty much talked out, and I'm trying to control my anger. I don't want to take it personal, but I do take censorship very at this point in time. I've always been angry about the censorship, but at this point in time, I take censorship very, very personally. It does anger me. Any kind of censorship at this point in time, things have happened. Things have happened in this country. Bad things have happened in this country and throughout this world. And
there's obvious signs of regression in the manner in which we're able to express ourselves. It's been limited, and people use it against each other. It's been used against countless numbers of YouTubers.
Oh yeah.
Thought crimes, man.
Thought crimes, word crimes, and it's not dished out evenly. That's for damn sure.
Yep.
And the one thing people want is equal protection under the law. And what? After this kind of thing, everybody's gonna put their hand in the cookie jar of the federal trough. So there are no private companies out there anymore. And this is, you know what? The media has shown itself to be arrogant. Much of the media is very arrogant, very egocentric, and in some ways extraordinarily narcissistic. And you know what? These individuals need to be brought to task.
And it's to the point where people are reacting in a way that supports this. This censorship is contagious, in my view. Not only have I had to deal with not saying certain things on YouTube, but I have to watch my mouth to people that I talk to, or they come at me. They've been aggressive in the way they've come at me. I find that very interesting. In my view, it's it's contaminated the way people conduct themselves.
Yeah. What can you do?
Some people I've run into are way more, they're more willing to censor and interfere with progress or thoughts. It's almost disturbing. But I've witnessed it firsthand. I don't know about you, but I sure have.
Yeah. And like I said, during this pandemic, the one place we do have is the internet. And, you know, it's like it's hard to advertise, and, you know, media outlets.
I'm sorry you even have to say something like that, because that could be turned off at the flick of a switch. That's the one thing that shouldn't be counted on. You know, that's for sure. I'm getting out. I mean, I'm talking as much as I can to people in different methods of communication. Yeah. I'm balancing it.
Well, there are different online places that we can go to, and, you know, and just, but man, I don't think it's ever been, it's never been tougher. And this pandemic is hard. And you know what, we need we need solutions, and we're not going to get solutions if there's only one person allowed to talk, or one group, or, one entity or one thought process allowed to express their ideas. Ideas have to be expressed. We're not children, we're adults, and we got to hear things sometimes even that we don't want to hear. And that goes for me too.
And I always know when I've said something that strikes a chord with somebody, Brian.
Yeah.
I always know.
I do too. So a lot of the times, though, when I'm saying something that strikes, usually I strike anger in people more than I strike a chord.
Oh,
and
apparently I do. Apparently I do too.
I've been angry. I've been angry for a long time about the media. I'm really angry. I think they're very unfair. I think social media is very unfair, and they don't get taken to task. The only time that I've seen them really taken to task is Tim Pool, when he was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he took Jack Dorsey, and I forget the other person, the lawyer, the Indian lawyer. She's American, but she's of Indian descent, and he read them the riot act. But in my opinion, Susan Wojcicki, not taken to task for censorship. She's handled in very softball ways, and actually, it's the opposite. The mainstream media, the last time she was on Leslie Stahl, and she was saying, "You're not censoring enough. You're allowing bigotry and hatred on your platform." Who says? Prove it. You know? I mean, these media outlets act like judge, jury, and executioner all in one. And cancel culture does the same thing. It's judge, jury, executioner all in one. And they were made popular by social media, and then when you go out and speak out against it, guess what? You get canceled. It makes my blood boil. It seems like I can't believe that people that are that myopic and that vicious and cruel are in control.
All right. So why don't we go ahead and wrap this one up? Any last thoughts before we get on out?
Well, again, like and subscribe, and if you have, maybe do a comment below.
Sure.
Those of you that are listening later on, unless you're making Republic of Liberty, who is going to make an insulting comment, I would say keep it to yourself. But you know what? You can say whatever you want if you want to make a comment and say something. I mean, we allow freedom of speech. We've noticed that we have a few.
Why don't you read it?
What's that?
What was the comment?
Oh, one of the comments right now is I predict that I'll get laryngitis.
Oh, okay.
But there was a comment, and there's been a few dislikes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the dislikes come from one particular user using different accounts, and that's fine. You know what?
Fine. That's fine. You know, I don't. If I can get a straight answer of why, but there is none. So, why don't we wrap that up? And yeah, like and subscribe, and we'll be back with more transparency and merit. Any last thoughts, Brian?
No last thoughts whatsoever. Just like and subscribe, and maybe even share the video if you would, and get the word out there, because basically YouTube isn't what it used to be. You can't really, you can't build your own platform as you used to, because independent creators don't have the same opportunities that they've had in a long time. I mean, like the mainstream went in along with big business went in, and there are reasons behind that. I like to, I have theories that seem to be pretty substantiated on why that happened. It has to do with fanatical anti-racism, and they don't want to be questioned. And they were being questioned, and it was becoming effective. And whatever becomes effective to the powers that be gets shut down. And
if you could just stay on here, just hang in there. I'll be right back. I just got to reboot, and then I'll be.
Wait, I thought we were just going to end it.
I know, but I need to be on here. So.
Okay. So I'm going to be on here for a minute while Joe reboots. He's just going to reboot his computer, and I am going to be on by my lonesome just as Joe reboots. God, I'm getting thirsty, and then I have to use the restroom as well. So bear with me, folks. By the way, I did attempt to fast today, and I didn't eat until about 5 o'clock. I slept in late today, and I shouldn't have done that. And like I said, hopefully this thing will be over, and we will be able to get back to normal. And let me see here. I got a message. I got a message from my phone real quick, and I got to enter into my passcode. So yeah, I'm waiting for my partner to reboot his computer. I have attempted fasting. So we were going to end it, but this lasted a little bit longer than do a monologue about white privilege. Yeah, I could go on with that, but I'm going to do the thing on fasting. You know what? And I kind of gave in, and I had two. Sorry, I had two Western Western cheeseburgers, lettuce wrapped. And then I also had some candy and some potato chips and a wrap today. But God, money is starting to really hemorrhage. And I think I can end the broadcast, so if I wanted to. I have another message that has been presented to me. And it says, if you want to end, sure you back out of the studio. I think I could just end the, I'm just going to tell them, I think I can end the broadcast. And bear with me, folks. I'm just, I wonder if I could share my screen here. Let me see here. Can I share my screen? Share screen. Okay. Covert panty raid Discord. StreamYard, Skype, entire screen. Oh, wow. Oh, man, that is, whoa. Here we go. You know what? And now I'm just, let me put it on something else here real quick. Sorry, folks. That was getting kind of creepy. So let me go on my YouTube. Let me see, go on YouTube right now. And let me see here. Oops. Let me just take a look here. How to eat like a Stoic. Maybe I'll just play this.
You might think the Constitution is a really boring thing.
It is boring.
If you're going to understand the form of our government, you have to understand.
Let me skip this ad.
Okay, I'm sorry, man. I'm back. I had to, man.
I was almost gonna watch a video.
Oh. Whoa! What is that cat?
3D, baby!
Wow.
That is really cool.
Did I do that or did you?
I did that.
Wow.
So I think I can end the broadcast myself, Joey.
Oh. Yeah, you could. You could if you needed to, for sure.
Yeah. So I can end the broadcast down. Hey, guys. Listen to our show. We're going to be having interviews pretty soon. So just like and subscribe if you want to and share it where you can. And then let me end this broadcast.
We're totally done.
We're totally done. Ran out of things to say, but Joe, I'm kind of new at this. So I'm going to end the broadcast.
You did amazing. You did amazing.
Thank you. All right, guys, like and subscribe if you like it, and then share it if you can. If not, that's fine too.
All right.